Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thomas's Reading Room. We are doing Trip Across the Pond, Personal Vietnam Experience by author Thomas K. Dugan. It's me. Okay. We did Chapter 12 last time, the Battle of Ilse Gold, largest battle was fought at that time, and now we're becoming more acquainted with the 4th Division, Chapter 13. Let's start. Battalion Major Erin Pulsefer needed a ride to the Snoopy pad, so we got in my Jeep, and for the first time, I drove him. A short distance from the Snoopy pad, and Major Erin Pulsefer instructed me to leave the road and take a shortcut. Immediately, without any hesitation, I drove across the field and drove into a ditch, and that was as far as we went. Fuck. We were temporarily stuck. I shouldn't say we. For Major Erin Pulsefer bailed out of my Jeep and began to hightail it for a Snoopy that was waiting for him. As the Major bailed out, he said, "Good luck." Fuck, I thought. It was a hell of a way to start my first trip. After many attempts, I managed to get my Jeep unstuck, and in a relatively short period. However, I did not know whether to wait at the Snoopy pad for the Battalion Major Erin Pulsefer or return to battalion headquarters. If needed, I would wait until hell froze over. Not knowing exactly what to do, I got on the horn and meagerly said, "Falcon 5, Falcon 5 X-ray, over." Falcon 6 X-ray. Falcon 5 X-ray. I was wondering whether Falcon 5 wanted me to wait at the Snoopy pad, over." After a few moments' wait, Falcon 6 X-ray came over the horn. "You can go back to headquarters." "Falcon 5 X-ray, out," I said embarrassingly. Falcon 6 X-ray's voice carried a tone telling me in so many words that it was okay. Don't worry about it. Feeling like shit, I put the transmission in first gear and taking the road drove back to battalion headquarters. Thinking about the whole episode later, it did not seem to be any big change and a few people thought it was funny. Even so, everyone was still good to me. Battalion Major Erin Pulsefer came back to battalion headquarters the next day. One day after washing my Jeep and polishing it with a polish that Father and Mother had sent me, I drove to the motor pool and began to construct a box using wood. Taking some army paint, olive drab, the same color as my Jeep, I painted the box. There was a lid fastened to the box held by 2 hinges. Setting the box down between the 2 seats of my Jeep, I drilled 2 holes through the bottom of the floor and through the box and through the floor. 2 bolts were inserted through the holes, and washers and nuts were put on the bolts, thus securing the box to the Jeep floor. The box would serve as a place to put things that I would need and could not afford to lose. It also served as a console, looked real good, and made the Jeep seem first class. When polishing the Jeep, I also would use a polish to clean the rubber around the windshield and anywhere else where rubber was exposed. I was not the only one that was proud of that Jeep. I know Battalion Major Erin Pulsefer enjoyed it as well, especially when we would go to a meeting at the brigade headquarters and every officer would stare at the best damn Jeep they had ever laid their eyes on, not counting the driver, who looked pretty sharp also. My Jeep had 2 radios. They were mounted on one on each side and above the rear wheel wells. One of them was used for the battalion and the other one could be anyone's guess. It had approximately 40 channels and I managed to tune in to 4 or 5 countries. Often, when I was waiting for Major Erin Pulsefer at brigade headquarters, I would tune into some of those countries and listen to some strange to me at the time music. There were a couple of soldiers that I got relatively close to that lived out of the same web talk as me. One such soldier, Mark, worked at the battalion post office. He was medium height, blonde curly hair, light blue eyes, and a small mouth that usually wore a smile. Mark had a positive attitude and he came from the state of California, approximately 40 miles from where I had lived. Mark had been in action a period of 3 months and tripped booby traps 3 times. He received 3 Purple Hearts and his legs had been peppered with fragments from the traps. The authorities took him out of the field. As the rule goes, any soldier that becomes wounded 3 times will be taken out of the field. The reason is that the soldier is prone to get killed. I thought, that's good. Give me another drink, Leroy. In any event, Mark was a swell soldier and his wife recently gave birth, a girl. Mark wanted to be able to see his child, and though he made several attempts through the Red Cross, they proved futile. We spent much time together until I left the position of driving for Battalion Major Erin Pulsefer. Once at the Web Talk, where we resided, I was playing the guitar. Well, I was attempting to learn. Mark told me with a serious look, "You know, DeGan, if you would practice more, you would be damn good." I do not know what Mark saw, though I have not forgotten the serious look that he gave me or the tone that came from those words he used. Another soldier, last name Walker, worked in intelligence. Walker was tall, thin, wore a crew-cut haircut, and had bluish-green eyes. Walker came from the state of Florida, and for some reason unknown, I felt especially close to him. When Walker first went into the Army, he decided to become an officer. He had gone to OCS, Officer Candidate School, and had approximately 1 week until completion when something sparked inside of him, and he quit. Walker was quiet, reserved, and when he talked, there was that sureness about him. He would have been a damn good officer, I thought. There was another person by the name of John who was somewhat disabled. Apparently, a M16 that he was carrying had a round of ammunition in the chamber and it discharged. The bullet struck John in the right leg. The problem he was experiencing was that the leg wound would not heal. It seems when the bullet leaves the barrel, it tumbles. When penetrating the skin, it tears the skin, causing great damage, and for some unknown reason, the skin does not want to heal. A few times, the four of us would go to the beer hall for one beer. However, Walker and I always went, and there never was a time when we drank only one beer. Those of us that stayed at camp paid for our refreshments. However, when the soldiers that were out on the operation came back into camp, the refreshments for them were free. Most every one of them soldiers would get smashed, and some of them would take showers using beer for water. We always took my Jeep, and one night, I think John, Walker, and I were drunker than 40 thieves. We left the bar and took the road that we normally take going across the airstrip. My Jeep must have been moving at a good clip. When going across the airstrip, there was a hump, and my Jeep flew into the air, with us flying around in it. Then my Jeep came back down and bounced every which way. Even so, I still drove and handled the situation adequately. Sometimes, a clerk from the battalion headquarters would want me to give him a ride to the PX or another place. One day I was feeling mischievous and drove us out onto the Burn Road by 2 villages. The clerk practically shit his pants and may have pissed in them. What the hell, it was good for him. Probably it was the closest he had ever come to any real adventure and have the shit scared out of him. At battalion headquarters there were a couple of Vietnamese women who came each day to clean the rooms. They would dust, sweep, mop, and change the bedding where the officers slept upstairs. One of them was a younger woman. She informed me that time started with the Vietnamese at conception, not after birth. A year to them would be 9 months to us. In any event, we got to know each other well, and a few times I got to feel how comfortable the officers' beds were. That young woman was always friendly, right up to the time I went to work with Captain Callworth, Green Beret. There was another soldier I had the opportunity to meet at battalion headquarters. It was never clear to me exactly what his job was, other than he did some odd jobs now and then. He was medium height, blonde hair, blue eyes, a stocky build, muscular, came from somewhere in the southern part of the United States, and did not like Negroes. There was such a soldier there that worked at the motor pool who supervised the mechanics. The Negro soldier had a stocky build, muscular, much more so than the Southerner. He was quiet, and there was not a time that I knew of where he gave anyone a bad time. However, the Southerner always had some negative words to say whenever they met. I remember once when there was some friction going between them, and the Southerner said, "Yeah? My granddaddy had a big farm, and he owned about 140 of you niggers." Everyone around, including me, about shit. Though nothing happened then or later, thankfully. It seemed to me that there was some respect between them, as they never did clash physically. Letter time. Dear Dad, Mom, hi. How the world is treating everybody in that little old town, stateside. Fine, I trust. It's raining like it's never rained before. Tonight I'm running around, half of me wet, the other half dry. But that's the way it is when you're driving a Jeep. Here I am with 168 days left in country. This is getting short. I would like to ask if you would send some car wax to me. I want to use it on my Jeep. I would like Vista Paste Wax. Have the rains let up there any? I don't think it'll be like it was in June 1964. Boy, that was something. It was quite a flood. Also, I would like to ask you if you would send those blue Levi slacks I had and that shirt with all the funny designs on it with the funny material. And my shoes, the black ones. I'm going on R&R, rest and relaxation, pretty soon, and we'll need them. I plan on going to Manila, Philippines, probably in August or September. I just as well take advantage of this 5-day vacation they're giving us. Well, that's about all for now. We'll write later. Everybody take care. Love, Tom. P.S. If the creek don't overflow, and the Lord's willing, from tree to tree. Number 1, Tom. Okay. That was chapter 13. Thank you, folks. I'm back.